It's official. This is day 1. I just got my period. I've been waiting for it. It was late by like 2 days. My period is never on time. But I finally got my period and I can go to my first checkup at the clinic tomorrow. I think it'll be tomorrow. I don't know. I'm still getting in touch with my coordinator. But this is my first official day. We were just waiting on that and now I am celebrating with movies and pizza. All right, I got my period last night. And last night I texted my coordinator in Boston to let her know that I got it. And she called a clinic here in Minnesota to set me up with an appointment this morning. For the actual appointment, or for the actual donation, I will be donating in Boston. But I don't want to have to be out there for 2 weeks. So what they've done is they've set me up with a satellite clinic here in Minnesota. So essentially what happens is I will go to this particular clinic a few times, I think maybe 2 or 3 times before I head out to Boston. And they do exactly what the clinic in Boston does. And basically I'll go to this clinic, I show up, I sit in a waiting room, and the doctor brings me back to the room. And if you've ever been to a gynecologist, it's basically the same kind of setup, I think. It's like a reclined chair and there's stirrups, and the doctor will leave the room. You'll disrobe from the waist down, and then you'll get in the chair, scoot your butt forward, put your feet in the stirrups, and put a sheet over you. And then the doctor will knock, come in, and then what they do is they have a kind of wand thing with gel on the end, and it's an intravaginal ultrasound, so they'll insert it, and then on the monitor you can see it's I think it's the same thing as when you're pregnant. So they'll use the wand and they'll move it around, and on the screen you'll see the ultrasound happening, and it's interesting. You feel free to talk to whoever is you're working with, ask questions, whatever, they'll always explain to you. But on the screen you'll be able to see all your egg follicles and how they're growing and progressing. She's all done with that. She leaves the room. You get to clean up and put your clothes back on, and then I go wait in the waiting room again, and then they call me back in and they do some blood draws, which if you're doing this, you're going to get really good with needles. It's kind of an inevitability. I'm surprised I could say that, because this whole process involves needles, so you're just going to have to get used to it. I got my arm poked, which is all fuzzy now from this sweater. That was only one blood draw, and then I go home and they send the results off to my clinic in Boston. They review them, see when I need to go back in again. And now I just wait for them to call me and say, all right, cool, if you could go back in 2 days, that'd be great. And the appointments can be, I think they're usually at like 7:30 in the morning. So usually you can go in before work or whatever. If you're gonna do an egg donation, I would let your work know that you're going to be doing doctor visits pretty frequently for about 2 weeks, and then your chunk of travel. So, and again, always feel free to talk to your doctors. It's okay, your coordinators, whatever, tell them blackout days that you can't go in, or you can't, like you've got work or you have whatever. They're super willing to be flexible, but also make sure you ask them if there's any times that you need to know to tell work about or whatever you've got. I think usually too, they'll write you doctor's notes, just plan ahead. Okay, cool. Stay tuned for more. Woo! All right, so I got my stuff in the mail. My stuff. My medicine in the mail today. I just wanted to show you how overwhelming it can look when you get this box. This is the box. It's a big old box. And usually you have to sign for it. I think you can tell them you would prefer not to sign for it, but some of the things in the box need to be refrigerated, so it's better if you're home to get it when it's coming in. That way you can put things in the fridge when they need to go in there. So these things, these are all refrigerated. All of these are Cetracide. I'm not using Cetracide right now, so I'm not sure when I will be using this, if I will at all. Sometimes they just send you medicine and then you bring it to the clinic because they decided you're not using that particular one. So I'm not using this one right now, but I will await instructions. Right now, I'm using Gonal F, which is these ones. And this one is actually my favorite. That sounds stupid, but it's my favorite because this one is actually really easy to use. It's just a little pen that's already pre-filled. So it's just this guy. And it's got the liquid in it already. What you do is you just turn this little cap to exactly what they tell you that you need. So I think I use like 225 units of this. So I'll pull it until that number says 225. And then when I'm ready to inject it, I just push down on this button until it stops, and that's completely it. So this one is the really easy one, for me anyway. This is not necessarily a medication you will be using, so listen to your doctor's instructions. The other injection that I personally have to do is called Menopur. So I got a couple of boxes of that. That's these ones. These ones are a little intimidating when you first start out, just because these ones you actually have to mix yourself. They look like this. So they come with a vial of powder and a vial of sodium chloride, which is basically just water that you mix into the powder. There's a variety of different needles you'll use. I'll show you how I do mine, but again, your doctor will sit you down. They will show you how everything works. A lot of doctors have web pages that they make sure they send you so that you have like a YouTube video to follow along with. Don't follow along to mine. Mine is for showing you before you do your donation. Don't use mine as a reference. Use the one that the doctor chose you. They will usually have you come sit in their office and they will pull out examples and they will go through it with you so that you're not nervous. They will also, most of them have a YouTube link or something where they have a, professionally filmed thing, and it shows you exactly how everything's done. Do not reference mine. The only other things they send you in these packages are, there's a whole bunch of needles. All of these packages are needles and different needle caps. Again, I'll show you each one of those when I actually show you how to do the injections. And you get a sharps container. It's just for disposing your needles in. I don't think I've ever used these bandage sponges things. I've never ever needed them. Like, you might get a drop of blood from the injection, but then these are the alcohol swabs that you will clean off the site with and clean off the caps and stuff with. And then the only other thing in here is a trigger shot, and it's the Luprolide. And that's the trigger shot for at the end of your cycle. Basically, you're gonna go in one day and all of your eggs are going to be about the right size that they need, and your doctor is going to say, okay, your trigger shot is tonight. That is that one. They'll tell you an exact time. You'll take the shot at that exact time, and then they will have an exact time that you come in for your appointment. And that is all of it. I have 2 shots a night. For this particular donation, this is the first one ever where they've told me that I can mix the shots together, so I only have to take one. Again, do not follow my instructions. Make sure you listen to your own doctor. But that was cool, so I get to mix both of my shots into one thing and just inject only once. So yeah, so I'm gonna put all my stuff back in the fridge, and then I will show you how all these shots go down. So it is the 3rd night of me doing injections. The last 2 nights I just haven't been able to film because I was busy and I had to do them kind of quickly. Just because I was in between, going out to dinner or going to bed or whatever. So I'm finally here alone in my apartment and I don't have any plans. So I figured I would film it for you so that you see exactly how I inject the medicines and what it's like and how I have to mix everything. All that fun stuff. Also, sorry about the weird lighting. I'm in my kitchen and it's 7 o'clock at night and it's winter, and so it's pitch black outside. This is the time frame that I take my medicines in. You get to decide what time of night you're going to take it, and you get about a 2-hour window, depending on your doctor. Talk to your doctor for sure. This particular clinic that I work with asked me to pick a time. I picked 7, and then I have to take the injections within about 2 hours of that time, give or take. The Lupron trigger is going to be the one that I have to take at exactly the specific time they tell me, but for these injections, it's not quite as strict. But I do try to take it at 7. All right, pull my box out. First, I pull out my sharps container, grab my alcohol swabs and the Menopur. I pull out these little vials, break it off. And then in this box also is this box called Q caps. Grab one of those. And there's this big bag of needles, which all of this seems very overwhelming when you get it all at once. But the reason I'm taking all of this out one at a time and just putting each individual thing out is so that I don't feel like I've got all of this stuff out on the table in front of me. So I only need one of these needles and then one of the small heads of the needle. So this needle comes with a giant guy, and that's for pulling the liquids out, and that's not actually for sticking in your body. This little tiny needle is for that. And that's it from the box. And then I gotta grab my refrigerated medicine, and that is just this guy, and this is the Gonal F. So I'll grab the pen, set that out there, and then one of the little needle caps that goes on it. And so by the time all of this is out, I will show you what it looks like. It is just these things right here. So as you can see, it's not that overwhelming. What I'm going to start by doing, I'll grab my alcohol swabs. So I only need, like, I just need 2. So I'll grab those 2. And then I'm gonna go wash my hands before I unwrap anything. Hands are nice and clean. I'm gonna start by mixing my Menopur together, just so that that's done. If you get Q caps, they are actually way easier than using just the needle to get the liquids out. I don't actually end up using this long syringe. I'll end up using the Q cap. Pop the top on these. I will take this cap off. I will just use the Q cap, which I screw on like that. I make sure there's no air in here, and I push that onto the vial of sodium chloride. Pop the sodium chloride off. Stick that over there. Won't be needing it. Stick this onto the Menopur. So it comes in a little vial, and it's just powder in there. Squirt this down and into the vial. And the way you mix this, you don't shake it or anything. You set it on the table and you swirl it like this, because you don't want bubbles, you don't want, I don't know. They actually didn't tell me why. I'm assuming it's because you don't want bubbles. But you mix it like this until all of the powder is dissolved. Normally, I would be doing 2 injections. So I would take this, I would fill up my needle, I would take all of the liquid out of there and fill it up and inject this once, and then I would do the second shot. But this donation, my doctor said that I can mix this, and then I'll take this and I can mix them both together and just do 1 shot in total. I was gonna show you 2 shots, but I'd rather just take 1. If you're doing this, listen to your doctor, talk to your doctor. So I'm going to do that, but if your doctor says don't do that, take both of your shots. Every other cycle I've done, I've had to take both separately. So the way the Gonal F one works, and I will say I like the Gonal F one a lot more. I find that the Menopur stings a little bit when it goes in, but the Gonal F one is a super tiny thin needle, and it doesn't feel like anything. My dosage is 225. There's a little number here that says 0. Turn this, oops, it goes the other way, until it says 225. Okay, so it's at 225. I'm gonna take this needle and stick it on the end, and then because I get to mix them together, I'm just going to stick this needle right into this bottle, push down until the pen stops me from putting in any more, and that's it. Then I take that off. There's still liquid in here, so this one will go back in the fridge. Cap that again, take off the needle, and stick that in my sharps container. I will stick this back on the vial, and I'm gonna pull all of the liquid that's in this out. keep that plunger pulled down. So all of the liquid is gone from this container. I can take this cap off, toss it, and I will take my little tiny needle and then I will just screw that on there. I'm going to take my alcohol swab. You're just going to be injecting it into your stomach. Every night I try to switch sides. I switch it from here to here, to here to here, just to give each side a rest. I just do it because sometimes you can get like a tiny little bruise from the needle. I am going to wipe off the side, just like that. I'm going to pull the cap of this off. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little air bubble right here. So I'm gonna flick the syringe and the air bubble just went up to the top. Now I'm going to push until all of the air is out of here and until I see a bubble right at the tip of the syringe. And that's gonna mean that all the air is out and the liquid is ready to go. So there was a little bubble. I don't know if you could see it. So now the part where I inject, and this sounds really scary and it's really weird the first time you do it, but I promise it's not so bad once you do it. So here I go, and pinch that you pinch your skin. So you'll grab a little bunch of skin like that, and that probably hurts more than the actual needle part. And then you will just stick the needle in, inject the liquid. And there you go. Sometimes you'll get like a tiny little bead of blood, but that's it. That's how easy it is. And it honestly doesn't hurt, doesn't feel like anything. It takes about 7 minutes once you know what you're doing, just to get everything set up and pulled out. You'll get the hang of it. Your doctor will go over it with you for your first time. You'll see. Then there's tons of YouTube videos and stuff that your doctor can recommend to you to follow along with. And then that is it. And I will do that probably every night until my donation. They might up the dosage or lower the dosage, so just listen to what they tell you. It's my 3rd day. I have no bloating whatsoever. I'll show you. This is what I look like. There's my little, can't even see it really. It's like slightly irritated, but that's really all there is to it. Okay, so I am packing. I am leaving for Boston a day early because I went to my appointments and I'm progressing a lot quicker than they thought I was going to be. So they changed my flight to today. I leave in about an hour and I am feeling very bloated. Not feeling spectacular, just kind of meh. My refrigerated medications come in this giant reflective refrigerated bag. Without a doubt, I'm going to get stopped. If you're bringing your medications on a plane, make sure you get a little doctor's note. So when they search me, I will just hand that over. So I just got into my hotel and it's lonely because my sister's not here yet. She comes tomorrow. I just got my instructions from my clinic, and they said to take my final Gonal F injection as soon as I got to the hotel, so I'm gonna do that. And then they also told me that I have to take my trigger shot tonight at midnight. I go to bed, I don't know if anyone watches my Instagram, but like I go to bed at like 8:30. So my bedtime is in about 2 hours. It's like 6:30 right now, and the trigger shot is actually really important. It's probably the most important shot of the donation cycle, just because you have to take it at a very specific time. The donation happens, I think it's 36 hours exactly. Like that's when the retrieval happens, is 36 hours after you take that shot. It's really important to hit midnight exactly, or whatever time they tell you. Hauling out the goods. We've got 2 hours left to stay awake. Oh my god, I'm so tired. Alright. Okay, it is finally like 5 minutes to midnight. I'm gonna get the injection ready. I put on a shirt because I was wearing a onesie. Okay, it's officially midnight. I can take my final injection. There it is, all done. Last injection of the cycle. How many is that? 7 days of injections and 3 Cetrotide shots that happened in the middle of the day. Those ones are specifically to stop you from ovulating. 10 injections, and then this final trigger shot was the 11th. So that wasn't too bad, but you do have to be comfortable with needles.
So basically today you're just going to want to kind of relax. You're going to get some medications that will make you sleepy and drowsy. So no driving, no alcohol, no over-the-counter medicine. We'll just recommend you take Tylenol. No tampons, no sex for 2 weeks after retrieval. And then what to do when you get home. Have something to eat. Go slowly, nothing too spicy or too greasy. And drink plenty of fluids. Tomorrow you can, work. So you can shower. If you're feeling tired or sore, you may need another day of rest. Normal things to experience. So feeling sleepy, lightheaded, or dizzy, it can last up to 24 hours, okay? Feeling crampy, it may feel like period cramps and spotting. And normal things to experience. So if you're feeling dizzy for more than 24 hours, severe abdominal pain, heavy bloating, or bleeding, soaking more than a pad an hour, passing clots larger than a quarter, fever greater than 101, shortness of breath, leg swelling, you just need to call the office again, okay? Do you have any questions about that?
Do you have any recommendations? Do you need anything with protein or electrolytes? Yeah,
that's what I would say, yeah. So protein bars, anything like eggs, chicken, you name it.
Okay.
I'll have you sign here. I'm reading.
I'm not responsible for me.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's questionable.
And then we'll just go over what can happen during the egg retrieval, which is what we've gone through. So it's called hyperstimulation. A few patients who undergo stimulation of their ovaries during this, it's characterized by abdominal bloating, pelvic pain due to an increase in the size of your ovaries and accumulation of fluid in the abdominal cavity. So it can just feel like a lot of bloating in your belly. It can include shortness of breath at rest and a decrease in your urine output. Generally, the symptoms after the egg retrieval peak around 7 to 10 days after the procedure. Sometimes the symptoms can increase in intensity and can continue on. The big thing is, though, to drink plenty of fluids, preferably Gatorade or like a sugar-free electrolyte solution. Stay off your feet as much as possible, avoid sex or exercise.
And all of these things, like Gatorade, exercise, how long should we be doing these things?
So that I would say...
Because if I buy the Gatorade...
I would say upwards of a week, yeah. The exercise, I wouldn't do anything too strenuous. You're running and all. Okay, all right.
You don't have to worry about me.
All right, so there you go.
I'll be home sewing.
There you go. And then just increase your protein intake. So protein bars are other sources of protein. Eggs, nuts, you name it. All right.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Good to see you
Good,
again.
yeah, good to see you too. Say bye.
I'm going to bring you on that.
Okay, I'll be
The worst is probably.
Yeah, we'll get you 20, maybe a little more.
Sounds good.
Okay? Alright, straight down and then to the left.
How does that feel? Okay. No. Really? God, I made a huge mess. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Technically, I made it.
Well, no, it wasn't you whatsoever. It was me. Oh my god.
I should have controlled myself then. I'm sorry.
No.
What? Wow, I'm tired.
Hi.
Can I say hi? back to sleep. Like, I love that oxygen mask. It just, like, you never know. You're like, I'm lucid. They can't take that from me. And then I wake up here. Are you guys gonna feed me snacks?
Yeah. We'll take you a minute to wake up.
Thank you. Did they call you in here? I feel like I asked for you.
You did.
I did?
Yeah.
I can't see straight. I keep going.
Oh,
Like,
well,
my
set that
eyes-
down.
How long have you been here?
Like 2 minutes. Did you swallow your cracker?
No.
Drink your ginger ale. No, they gave you some other things.
Pop-Tarts.
I don't think so. I think they're healthier than Pop-Tarts.
Damn it.
They're good for you things.
You need to get me Pop-Tarts.
Eat your cracker.
You slow down. I do one thing and then you want me to do the next thing.
You have to keep doing.
Oh, I'm so tired. Okay, so we're back at the hotel. I feel great. I feel very lucid, not very tired at all. Totally hungry, and I don't hurt at all, which is really fun. Normally, I spend the rest of the day kind of in the hotel, kind of staying in bed. Kind of staying in bed, so yeah, I'll keep you updated. All right, I'm home. I've been home for about a week. What did we do? We went into Boston the next day and hung out with my cousin and then took a flight home. And there was not really anything to report. I was feeling a little bloated, but that was to be expected. And then a few days ago, I got my period, which is also expected. Usually, even if it's not when your normal cycle would be, you'll get a period after a donation. You can't use tampons. So that's probably the worst part about a whole donation is that afterwards you just get to sit in your own blood for a couple days. We all love that, don't we? Makes you really appreciate tampons though. I'm excited for next month. Really excited to not have to use pads. Nothing else to report. I should be getting my check from the donation any day now, probably today, and then that's it. There's nothing else you have to do. No follow-up. I hope that was helpful. I hope that was informative. Let me know. Do more research. Look around. Ask friends, family what they think. If you know anyone else who's done donations, go on Google. There's tons of people out there who are doing them, who've documented them. Feel free to subscribe on top of these flowers. And then you can watch my latest video right here. And then over here, I will put a video YouTube thinks is the best one for you. And then down here, I haven't decided which video I'll put, but I will put one right here. Check them out.